In the midst of another uploading hiatus, I'm writing several videos at once, so any of my fans could just listen to me talk about something while they wait for me to finish a new video essay, especially since that's the only thing I assume most of my returning viewers come around here for. Beyond that, there's very little I have to say before I start this list, so have a personal ranking of all the Star Wars movies and begin the show.
It's an ambush!
I was originally going to pick The Village Bride for this spot, but after some serious analysis, I figured this episode is better since it shows the audience the culture of the people that used to live on this planet, but also the disgusting toll that the Empire has put on it and the two main characters themselves. The story is definitely an overused one, but apparently not used enough since the people who watch Star Wars most prominently happen to also not understand that they are members of the Empire who have made hostile efforts to steal land from their native inhabitants, and for which those inhabitants still do not officially own back because of the laws in place that our dear Empire instated themselves.
I apologize for the trouble.
This, on the other hand, is valueless. There's a lightsaber fight, and I like me a good lightsaber fight, but combined with animation not suited for portraying sword combat, and the characters literally standing around for 15 minutes, I can't help but feel like scrolling through my phone or skipping to the next significantly better episode.
It's a meme-y type of thing, a dreamy type of thing.
I debated putting this on the list, but considering it has a Joker kind of approach to whatever storytelling it has, it just feels like a worse executed version of Journey to the Dark Head. This story borders on villainizing abuse survivors and makes no attempt at commentary, only a kicking off point from a prologue of a beginning of a story, and I'm hesitant to call it any good without literally making fan fiction, but honestly that's a topic for another day.
I lucked out!
The animation has nothing to do with this ranking, but it is genuinely so beautiful. It technically has the same theme as In the Stars, but made far more personal. This episode shows the tangible effect the Empire has had on its people on an individual level, and makes her behavior understandable. Her family was broken up and most likely murdered en masse, and while she is jaded and dissociated, she still fights for an improbable cause with hope that she can stop what happened to her from happening to other families.
Imaginary technique. Hollow. Purple.
This is nothing. The animation is beautiful, but there's nothing we assume the protagonist will do to alleviate her own situation by herself. But it has the extra problem of not telling the audience the most interesting part of her old life, and letting us all assume she does nothing different with her life after the episode. I'd much prefer a more intimate story of the main character just talking about their feelings than doing some common Star Wars thing of running away and conquering your past mistakes when they catch up to you. If I could propose a better story, running away from your mistakes and causing tragedy because of it instead of fighting it head on. It'd be reminiscent of Darth Vader's story, but it'd be the slightest bit different and draw a comparison to Anakin's mistakes while emphasizing a new character's struggles. Just a thought.
A stupid adult who doesn't know how to grow up.
I don't like being told the light always has a bit of dark in it, like I'm not already watching the film adaptation of the damn Taijitu. This picture has better applicability and prevalence than literally any image or symbol in the history of our world, and we're still turning it into rehashed weeb trash made to capitalize off adrenaline junkies' insatiable appetite for swords just to hit each other. The theme of darkness always being a part of you is nice, but the last thing I'd call it is interesting. A much cooler idea is to eschew the typical conventions of darkness and light entirely, because they are both human constructs made to enact justice as love and strife or good and evil respectively. And Star Wars, with only one exception, has made as much effort as possible to strike that down by playing it completely straight. And nobody listened. Not even the writers of this very series listened. Yin and Yang is meant to represent two contrasting sides whose antithesis is their motivation. Not the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Good versus evil or light versus darkness is always used to vocalize it, but those are always too simple to demonstrate the gravity of the symbol's actual meaning.
Who knows, I might even join a new band and forget about you guys.
This episode is technically rated highly, but I've actually met more people who didn't like this episode as opposed to Sith and Journey to the Dark Head, which are some of the highest rated episodes and still some of the worst in the series. Every step of this episode's progress tells us everything I'd need to know about everyone and the place that they're in. Screecher's Reach is actually the only episode of this series that gives off the same feeling as a movie like 9, which is actually not a very narratively good good movie, but the atmosphere is so powerful and overbearing that the world itself feels unshakable compared to the main characters. This episode ends on a truly disturbing note where the main character, who is a child, kills a scared old woman who's been isolated so long she acts more akin to an animal, steals her lightsaber, and gets courted off into a completely unknown life by someone who's whispering to her privately the entire time. Screecher's reach is uncertain, and you will almost wish that they stayed with their family, but you know that
There are better lives.
and taking a chance at all is better than regretting you never did. It's perfect.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
I have some explaining to do. I actually really like this episode, and it's arguably one of the best ones narratively. But it is also very slow. Agonizingly slow. That's why it really hurts to put this here. The pacing makes me feel the dread with very little payoff because I knew how it was going to end, and I don't like that it was always going to be technically incomplete. This episode tells its story extremely well, and while I understand in some part that its effect is because it's so slow, it'd be nice to pick up the pace. A better version of this episode comes in the form of a movie called Alice. It's a really great movie. You should watch it.
You are useless! What are you talking about?
It's not often that I actively avoid series over secondhand embarrassment, and this one episode would have killed it for me if Visions itself wasn't an anthology series. When I first watched this episode, it was in the English dub, and I still haven't rewatched it, at least not with the intention of trying to enjoy it. The story is pretty whatever, but the highlight of the episode is supposed to be the bond of the band and embrace what it's about to lose, and it all sucks in execution. It just seems like the worst possible version of what Screecher's reach ended up being, and told from the perspective of the blandest person in any given room. That alone would put it in the blandest spot, but the music makes me want to turn the TV off completely. And if it weren't for the next episode being more hyped than The Force Unleashed, I probably would have. This episode isn't narratively worse than, say, Akakiri. It's actually fine, but the fact that it actively made me want to stop watching it as soon as I put it on tells me that it wasn't worth watching in the first place. And hey, someone might have said that about Screecher's Reach too, but I'm simply more right than you, scrub. Get good. Well, that's my take for every episode of Star Wars Visions that I left with a lasting impression, and the series really does leave lasting impressions. Some things I would like to comment on for the series as a whole, and a point to compound on what I've said before. The animation is pretty hit or miss, but it's mostly hit. I like that one episode that looks like stop motion puppets, but the episode as a whole wasn't notably interesting or uninteresting enough to really make it a whole section for, as for most of the episodes on this list. The animation as a whole should not have been regulated exclusively to anime studios for season 1, especially not Studio Trigger animating multiple episodes, but I'm glad other studios around the world worked on season 2. I actually think it's a really cool idea, even if it's not original, to make a disconnected anthology series set in the Star Wars universe, especially when none of it's canon. I like the continuous Star Wars storyline, mostly, but one thing I wish it could just stop doing is that Marvel thing, where everything from spin-off shows to the mainline movies are connected in one way or another just to make a 20-year-long arc that accumulates in one enormous interdimensional event happening. The new supplementary material isn't good enough to justify that, even for the projects that I like.